and services and defend themselves, so therefore free people should be able to have guns. That would be my point. I never want to take the position that sounds like that I'm not making sense. You're not going to have as many mass shootings if you outlaw guns. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to have as many mass killings, period, unless the government does it, which, by the way, if you want to look at mass killings with guns, you probably have to look no further than your local capital of whatever nation you're in, and those are the ones that are most responsible. But, the mass killings are a really unlikely way to go. Now, when you want to talk about gun violence, there's much more violent crime in Great Britain than there is in the United States. So one might argue that getting rid of guns would make violent crime go up.
So here in the United States, of course, there are how many million guns? 300 million or something like that?
About as many as there are people, a bit more.
Quite a few of them. And there's just no way that guns are going to go away. And of course, even in places like China, I remember there was a story about 22 people being stabbed to death in a mass stabbing there. Yep. So certainly removing guns doesn't remove crazy people from society. And disarming people in general means that a madman wielding a machete is going to do if there aren't a bunch of cops around, he could still do a fair amount of damage. Again, this man was in essentially a subway the equivalent of a subway station. I don't know if it was above ground or not, but there are a lot of cops around here, so they were pretty easily able to zero in on this character and take care of him. He's still alive, from what I understand.
Is the person who got slashed in the neck?
I don't have that detail at this point. Even if they are still alive, usually I'm sure they're not very happy about it.
Knife wounds are pretty easy to stitch up if you can apply pressure and those sorts of things. I mean, obviously,
machete's a pretty serious knife.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not made for cutting people.
I got you there. The victim was rushed to a hospital in serious condition with multiple stab wounds, say paramedics. So apparently he not just slashed him in the neck, but also stabbed him a few times as well.
Well, we hope the best for him.
One said the victim was an elderly man with a younger female member, while another said the man had a long knife which looked like a machete. Now, didn't they put in some knife controls in Great Britain as well recently?
I think they were certainly on a knife campaign to get the knives off the street.
Apparently that hasn't worked out very well.
No, it's only going to get the knives from the people that want to give them up, which generally are not going to be people that want to stab you with them.
Right, and also in California, where, of course, there was a mass shooting this week, which we covered in depth, I think, last night. But we can continue to talk about that tonight if you feel so inclined, dear listener. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. California is another place where there are some pretty serious gun regulations, lots of gun control in a place like California. So, of course, everybody is open to being shot in a place like that.
Yeah, I don't know that there's much correlation between crime and guns. I mean, I've looked and tried to do it. So, for instance, if you up here in New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont, this general vicinity, crime's really low.
There's also a lot of gun freedom here.
It's among the lowest in the United States, and there's lots of guns. There's lots of gun freedom in places like Arizona and Texas and Oklahoma. You have lots of crime there. So, there's causation, correlation. So
Arizona's like on the same level as, I guess they are as free as New Hampshire, right? Like it's pretty free place for guns.
It's for guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's a particular correlation, but that is also needs to be taken from the other side. Look, there's no correlation between crime and guns. You see mass shootings. Yeah, you could make mass shootings go down by taking guns, but what about all the other crimes that could be committed? I love the saying, I think it's worth repeating over and over and over again, God made man, Sam Colt made him equal. Today, an old man can defend himself, or an old woman can defend herself from Mike Tyson. I'm not saying that Mike Tyson's a bad guy or anything like that. I don't know him personally.
He likes Bitcoin.
There's a lot of stories. But, from a person who could fight as well as Mike Tyson could in the 1990s, knife fighting, an infirm person can't defend themselves with a knife the way they can with a handgun.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd make that particular argument. But they say the guy slashes this dude, says it's for Syria. Is that what his claim was?
This is for Syria, he shouted, allegedly, before he slashed the man's throat.
More relevant to me than anything else in this story. I mean, you're able to tell why this person did it.
That's correct.
Right? He's somewhat unhinged. He probably has some weird religious beliefs, but you know what his motive is. Because many people will say, they hate us for our freedoms. And he didn't say, this is for your stinking freedoms, you infidel. I will lop off your head. Is the best I can do. I'm not sure where that person's from. But that's not what it's not about your freedoms.
I think that was the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland.
That's who it was. There. It was actually ready to lop off your head. We know why this person did what they did, and it's the same reason we've been saying here on Free Talk Live over and over and over and over and over again.
You think it has to do with the UK government being involved in actions against Syria?
Well, not just actions against Syria, which I'm sure, but destabilization of the region generally, starting 2002 with the invasion of the force of the willing or whatever it was, where Iraq's destabilized and the Sunnis are kicked out of power, who are about 30% of the population. Then with democracy, the Shias take power because they're about 70% of the population, and the poor Kurds left out in the cold. So, obviously people are going to be pretty upset about that. The Sunnis don't feel particularly well represented. And that's basically the reason that ISIS exists today. So the United States, Great Britain, and many of these other countries, France and whomever, they were responsible for this to some extent, the destabilization in the region. And we all, oftentimes, us average citizens, we're going on around about our lives and not really thinking about this stuff. And it hits us like a ton of bricks when these things happen. Dear God, where do these people come from and what do they want? Well, I tell you what they want. They want your stinking government out of their country, the same way you would want their government out of your country. You believe that you're a free individual that should be able to self-actualize with other people in your community and create a government that represents you. They believe the same thing. Turns out they're human beings.
Wow, really?
Yeah. They're not just a bunch of sand apes or something like that do whatever we tell them.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free line, 855-450-3733. You may also Skype into the show. Skype username here is LRN.FM. Trucker Dave on the line in Virginia. You're on Free Talk Live. Trucker Dave.
Hey, first time to hear your show, gentlemen. Enjoying it immensely. And
sorry for the shock.
You give a shout-out to all the folks over there in the Naval Air Station over there in
Why would you want to do that?
Go ahead.
Oh, because they're good boys and girls out there.
What do you mean when you say good? When you say good boys and girls, you mean they'll follow orders without question?
I didn't say that, did I?
Isn't that what they'll do though?
Not necessarily, but if it's a lawful order.
Stand by, Trucker Dave. We'll give you a chance to say whatever it was you called in about here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Because to me,
so cantankerous.
To me, a good person in the military would refuse to follow bad orders, which is probably every single one they'll ever receive. It's Free Talk Live.
Obtaining a pre-approval can be a buyer's advantage. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. In recent years, mortgage guidelines have been tightened. A pre-approval that's been issued by a mortgage underwriter gets you through the process and uncovers potential pitfalls long before you become obligated by a purchase contract. Obtaining a pre-approval will allow you to be certain about the price range that's best for you. You'll know how much cash you'll need to bring to close, and you'll know what your maximum monthly payment will be. Understanding your limits will help you negotiate with confidence. Plus, since sellers like a sure thing, you may have an advantage over buyers who do not yet have a pre-approval. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1G 2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
If you want to play online poker with Bitcoin, you need a site that's trustworthy and technically sound. The site managers of swcpoker.eu have proven their commitment to bringing you great gameplay from a site you can trust, swcpoker.eu. They have lots of new games too, including Chinese poker, and their Krill leaderboard is open right now. It's a beautiful site, easy to use with lots of players. Go on over to swcpoker.eu now and have some fun with your Bitcoin. swcpoker.eu.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here, live Saturday edition of the program. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Whether it's the shootings out in California or now a slashing with a machete in apparently some sort of rail station in the UK, where a man yelled, "This is for Syria," before slashing an elderly man in the throat with a machete. Whatever it is, this apparently is somebody who's upset about the U.S. and U.K. government invading other countries in the Middle East, specifically Syria in this case. You're welcome to share your thoughts. We also talked about gun freedom, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. SaveAtPurse.com is where you can go to get 20% off of Amazon this holiday season. And if you want more than 20% off, you can do that too. You can save 30, 40%. It just depends on how patient you are. The higher the percentage, the longer it might take to fulfill your order. The last time I ordered something at 20% off, it was fulfilled in 1 hour. So it's relatively quick if you do it at the 20% range. And the catch is you have to pay with Bitcoin to get these huge discounts from Amazon, which of course already has great prices. So save 20, 25, 30% off easily over at SaveAtPurse.com. Save AT-Purse. SaveAtPurse.com. As we go back to Trucker Dave, you're back on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Trucker Dave.
Okay, well, you started to steer the conversation towards following lawful orders and whether that would make you a good or a bad soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine. And it's that lawful order thing, which I think you can decide that by remembering your oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So if anybody decides to give an order that our military should fire on our own people, I would consider that an unlawful order.
That's certainly a place to start. But I mean, one of the things that my co-host Ian would probably bring up to you is that, I mean, how about during Hurricane Katrina when the National Guard was used to disarm people and when they needed it the most?
I'm thoroughly against that, and they would find it pretty tough to disarm this truck driver.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but one of the things about sort of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines is they get them at 18 years old in many cases, and they're very good at following orders and not so great at parsing out the semantic details with the Constitution. Another thing I'd point out is the United States hasn't declared war since 1942, and it hasn't stopped them from sending soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines all over the world.
So wouldn't that make all of those orders illegal since 1942?
I think someone could make an argument. What do you think, Trucker Dave?
I think that I'm going to continue to do my part to be an oath keeper and to keep my oath for the foreseeable future. And that includes, of course, the Second Amendment part of the Constitution, which a lot of people want to trample on. And in light of the recent developments, as of Wednesday's shooting in San Bernardino, anybody that's going to be holding a Christmas party ought to post a guard at the door to make sure they know who's coming in and who's going out.
Sounds a little paranoid.
Show their weapon. Not paranoid. It's called being protective of your people. Not letting just any yahoo come into your party and then.
Well, this was a yahoo that worked with them.
Yeah, this guy worked there.
Understood, but if somebody was keeping an eye on who's coming and going, they'd see these people returning dressed in black carrying AR-15s, and they would be able to stop the threat at the door.
Indeed. I would encourage it for the folks out in Colorado who had to deal with abortion clinic shooters, too.
Yep, I think that there should be a right to carry in all 50 states.
Yeah, I don't see why there isn't.
We just need to get the right.
They've got a rule book. The rule book says that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That means the 20,000 gun laws that are supported by, in many cases, gun freedom organizations in this country, that every one of them should be rescinded.
Agreed.
Thanks.
So let's change things around in 2016 and take this country back.
Well, I mean, what's going to change in 2016?
Which presidential candidate is going to give you get rid of 20,000 gun laws?
Well, I tell you what I'm doing is putting my money in my mouth behind Ted Cruz because I believe he understands what the Constitution's all about.
I'm a convicted felon. You think Ted Cruz is going to pardon me for the possession of a gun to protect my family?
Well, I'm sorry that you're a convicted felon, but I do believe that convicted felons had a choice to make at one time, and you made the wrong choice, pal.
Guess you don't get rights, huh, Mark?
At 17 years old, but the New Hampshire Constitution says that every man has the right to keep and bear arms in defense of himself, his family, and the state, and something to that effect. Does that just go away once you're convicted of a felony? And for how long?
Well, there are ways to have your record purged.
That's right. Beg for forgiveness from the master in the state.
Don't you think it would make more sense to just have some kind of rule that, like, 5 years after you get out, that you automatically get all your gun rights back if you haven't been in trouble?
Oh, guess he didn't want to answer your question.
Yeah.
He just hung up.
It's really a tough question. Or maybe he ran into a cell.
Who knows?
Trucker Dave. I mean,
yeah, it's true.
You never know. This is one of the things that's very, very difficult for the pro-gun crowd. Here I am. I'm talking to you as a 44-year-old guy who sometimes, there could come an instance where I need to defend my family. There's some lunatic that calls this radio show threatening to kill my family and burn my house down. You don't think I'd...
Sorry, you did something wrong when you were 17,
right,
Mark.
When I was 17, I lied to the police. And
you should have to live in fear, and your family should have to live in fear for the rest of your lives.
Well, my wife still has the right to keep and bear arms, but...
yeah, but she would have to keep it in a way that you wouldn't be able to get to it, right? Or something like that?
There's all kinds of rules, and it really just depends on the state as to how they're going to be enforced in those particular instances. But... that's one of those things. Is nobody wants to defend the convicted felon.
I'll defend the convicted felon. I got no problem doing that because there's so many people in the United States who are convicted felons who've never hurt another person. Yours actually was a violence-involved kind of felony, but again, you were 17 and that was a lifetime ago, and you did go to prison for that, so time served.
Regretful as I could possibly be of what occurred.
Yeah, but most people who have felonies these days, I don't think are violent people at all. There's drug users, drug dealers, people like that. There's all kinds of felonies in the United States.
But it doesn't really matter because your laws aren't stopping me from going and getting a gun. If I want to get a gun tonight, I can go ahead and do that. And the only reason I don't is because it's against the law, but I'm not going to use it to harm anybody. If somebody wants to use it to, if a felon wants to commit a crime, they're going to get a gun anyway.
Yeah, they're not going to stop to think about it.
Law. Now that we've got laws against hurting people, do we need extra laws against the possession of a firearm? You know, the old saying that if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. Well, if you outlaw felons having guns, only the outlaw felons will have guns.
That's true. You know, it's interesting that the people who are supporting generally gun rights, they stop short of actually supporting true rights, right? Because I think your point is very good that why does the right to bear arms just disappear after you've been convicted of a felony? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, it does make some sense.
Secondary political class, and you guys are a scapegoat.
Well, hold on. I'm not ready to go as far as you're going. Do you think in prison that people have the right to keep and bear arms?
Well, that's a secure facility, obviously.
Well, what's that have to do with rights?
You're under total control of the state at that point. You don't have rights, the same rights in prison.
Essentially, if the legislators pass a law that says that felons no longer have the right to keep and bear arms, any felon who's commits a crime after that point, at the very least, knows what they're under the law. It's not a ex post facto change the situation thing. So when they're released, one could argue that essentially it's just a life sentence from having a weapon.
855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number, 855-450-3733, or Skype in at Skype username LRN.FM.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. It's Friday and metals are rocking. Gold is up $19 at $1,074 per ounce. Silver is 21 cents higher at $14.38 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $360 US. We still have plenty of 2015 US Mint silver and gold Eagle coins available. Get yours today. Give Roberts & Roberts a call at 800-874-9760 or shop online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
NASA's recent discovery of water on Mercury has led to speculation among scientists that the planet could potentially sustain an intergalactic space prison housing the universe's worst criminals. Scientists believe that organic compounds found on the planet's surface could be useful for creating an off-world space Australia, where strength is the only law. However, they caution it is too early to say whether or not fights among the space jail's prisoners would be broadcast here on Earth for the entertainment of wealthy gamblers. But NASA's lead researchers do say that Mercury's ability to support human life raises important questions about who the prison guards would be.
Perhaps the guards themselves would be space mercenaries, or maybe we'd just use robots.
The robots would have guns for hands.
Well, obviously.
Critics inside NASA caution against funneling too many resources into the Mercury project when it would be so much cooler to build a prison on the moon ruled by clones of the prisoners themselves. Researchers encourage the public to read their findings, which have been released in the form of a graphic novel titled The Mercury Cipher.
This is the Onion News Network.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live Saturday edition. You may join us right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. It's been a whirlwind first couple segments here with multiple topics covered, everything from the machete slashing in the UK that just happened today to the gun violence, the 14 murdered in California a few days ago in San Bernardino. You're welcome to comment on those things. Gun rights has come up, and the toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We've got some really, really ugly sweaters this year for the holiday season, thanks to tipsyelves.com. And if you've not yet seen the horrendously ugly sweaters at Tipsy Elves, you should drop on by the site.
You got one that makes you look like one of Santa's little helpers.
That's right. It's like nothing you've seen before. They are not for the faint of heart, some of them. Go to tipsyelves.com, and Free Talk Live listeners, you get 20% off of anything you order on the site. Whether you're shopping for your ugly sweater or for somebody else, they can help you there. tipsyelves.com. Use code FTL at the checkout. You'll get your 20% site-wide discount at tipsyelves.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, Skype username here is LRN.FM, and that's where Hung Like Jesus is on the line. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, Ian and Mark. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just have a really quick question, and it may even be rhetorical, but I'm going to ask it. What does paying one's debt to society actually mean?
I don't know. It's just it's kind of a thing that people say, I guess, about doing time in prison. I don't. I guess the suggestion is that whoever sentenced you did a fine job of it, and you need to do it. You need to do that sentence.
So it has no legal meaning then.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I've often wondered about that. People serve however long they serve in prison, and they're supposed to be, the slate's supposed to be wiped clean. Of course, not literally, of course, but, they're supposed to have paid their debts to society. But then again, they can't vote. They can't own weapons. And it'd be hard as hell for them to find a job. I just don't understand what paying one's debt to society means. Does it mean it's not really paid until, you're in a hole somewhere and you're having your funeral?
Yeah, I think that in many cases that's what people believe, that once you've been convicted of a felony, because the vast majority of people out there who are listening to me now are felons, they just haven't been convicted of the felony.
What are you saying there, Mark?
Well, they commit crimes all the time.
You're saying the average person listening to the show is committing felonies?
There's a book out there called 3 Felonies a Day that suggests that the average citizen does commit 3 felonies. So I'm saying that, if you've got expired medicine in your cabinet, the chances are good you're committing a felony right now. There's one. Many times if you have a gun, you've probably broken some of your state's gun laws because they're contradictory and confusing. You've probably broken some federal gun laws. I mean, there's just – you're committing felonies all the time, don't even know it.
Somebody I know from was raised in Vermont and New Hampshire. They went down to New York at one point in their adult life, like in their late 20s, and they carried a gun down to New York. They had no idea there was such a thing as a gun permit. They just didn't know. but that was absolutely a felony in the state of New York.
Yeah, they probably do 10 years over that.
Hey, thanks, Hung Like Jesus. Appreciate your call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Let's go to Steve. He is in Texas. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Steve.
Hello, I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Sorry, you what now?
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
All right. Are you on some kind of a speakerphone or like a handset?
No, I'm talking on my cell phone.
Okay, it's a little muffled, but go ahead.
Yeah, I turned the Bluetooth off so I can talk. I'm a retired police officer, and I am in favor of people, regardless of whether or not they're a felon. And now, if they're a convicted felon, they killed somebody last year, yeah, let them go serve time. But once you serve your time out, I think the death paid in full, and you should have your right to defend yourself again. I mean, God gave us the right to self-defense.
Yeah, most law enforcement officers tend to feel this way. At least the ones that I've spoken to, they get it. They're dealing with people that have been in the criminal justice system. They know who they're talking about. But let me ask you this: at what point are you talking about? Like they used to do in the old West days. They let you take your guns when you check out a prison. You strap them right back on and you go. Or are you talking about maybe when your probation's done, or a 5-year?
Depending on the crime, you might have to wait to 5. But again, for example, if you because you're poor and you're living with your mother or with your wife and your kids, and you don't have the money to even go get paid for insurance, you can't have insurance on your car anymore, and therefore you can't get your vehicle registered, and your mother just got her tag, and she's got that little sticker, and you thought, well, you just borrow it so you can save up enough money, for example, to get your vehicle registered, and you get stopped, and you have those stolen sticker that's on a license plate, you've just committed a felony. And you should be denied your right to carry a gun because you borrowed your mother's sticker.
Steve, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free numbers 855-450-FREE. Ron's in Kingsport, Tennessee. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, Ron.
Hey, man, listen, I can't buy a gun, but I've never been convicted of felony. I had a domestic violence complaint filed against me by my sister, who wants to take my father's money, basically. And so what happened was, since I live in Hawaii or Tennessee, depending, and sometimes I go to Michigan, I never was served process in this case. And this went on for years, never got served. The judge retired, and then he just closed the case out, but he kept the protective order on. So if I go into a place to buy a gun, I can't buy it.
Wow.
Because I can't pass background because of this. Now, here's the thing. The judge is a friend of my sister. My sister owns a big realty company in Sanford, and she basically wanted to control my father's assets, and I basically caught her red-handed trying to do just that. And so as a reward, she went to a judge with her lawyer, and first she filed a Baker Act against me, which was ridiculous because I was running an agricultural business down in Florida.
The Baker Act.
Are you saying that farmers don't go crazy?
We're from Florida, so I know what the Baker Act is. It is it's an involuntary internment kind of.
It's really
law.
weird, and but I mean, it's sort of a practical thing. But from a philosophical standpoint, how the hell do you take people's rights away for 72 hours
just because someone calls?
Just because somebody says they're nuts.
Yeah, well, there's a problem with that one too. They kept me after the 72 hours because they denied access to an attorney for me while I was there, and I pointed out that this case is null and void. So they said, well, either you sign this document that says you're here voluntarily, or we're going to keep you here.
That sounds really voluntary.
So that's extortionate means. So when I got out, I went after this. I had petitioned the judge many times. I said, Judge, this is extortionate means. You blackmailed me into signing a document saying that I'm crazy and I need your help. And that basically renders moot any habeas corpus I might apply in fighting my sister and brother in court on this ridiculous Baker Act. I mean,
did he say that was the point?
I'm sorry?
Did he say that was the point?
It probably is the point. It's clear. It's all in the record. I wrote underneath my name without prejudice on every document. I said, you guys are a bunch of thugs. I said, do you not realize that I have an 800 number. I got 3,000 fruit trees. Okay, I'm applying to be a substitute teacher in Seminole County. I'm doing all these things. I've got my girlfriend live with me. She cooks my food. We work all day, and now I'm incapable of self-care. This is what my sister puts out. It's just a total false declaration before the court. But to make it, going to the next case, I filed against my sister in a second case after working in Hawaii. I was working in a bank in Hawaii. I was doing refis.
This was after she filed against you?
Well, this is after I got let out for the Baker Act.
Okay.
So I decided I'm going to get a redress in court. So I filed a case against her in Orlando, so she got served process, and I threw the book at her basically and everything she did. So to get out of that, she files a domestic violence case against me, saying basically that he's lived in West Virginia.
It's hard to prove these for domestic cases. Thanks, Ron, and good luck with that.
And a lot of people who don't have felonies can't carry because of this.
It is Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's GiantVapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
Hi there, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy, and we're looking in this time of terrible financial crash, terrible meltdown of the medical system, we're looking to pay people obscene amounts of money if you become a student of our business at Youngevity. We will help you actually take care of people better than the medical system has. Think about it. We spend more money in America for healthcare than all the other 218 nations the world put together, and they can't even solve weight loss problems. I mean, the medical system can have a total mental brain fart, and if you do this, you will be able to save an enormous amount of people from being overweight, being obese. They don't even know what causes obesity. Believe me, we know what causes obesity. In the medical system, they think it's from eating too much. It's not from eating too much. It's actually a mineral deficiency. Do you solve a iron deficiency anemia with a bone marrow transplant? That's what they think. Do you solve a mineral deficiency that causes obesity with a gastric bypass? That's dumber than a stump. Contact us at gcnminerals.com. Learn how to lose weight, look good, and save yourselves a gob of money.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, Saturday edition. We're here live in the studio in beautiful Keene, New Hampshire. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We've got a website, brand new, redesigned just a couple months ago, and it's great. It allows you to actually create the content that you see there. The suggested show topics you'll see on the front page were put there by listeners like you and then voted on by listeners like you. It's a Reddit-based system, so it's totally free for you to use. Of course, it's also free to download archives that go back for years and more. Everything else all free at freetalklive.com. So please enjoy. Once again, that's freetalklive.com. Let's go right back into your calls and thoughts. We'll go first to Aaron, listening in Oklahoma. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Aaron. Aaron?
I just wanted to... Hello?
Yes, hey, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about, I think it was worth mentioning that there's more stories out of France of them trampling people's civil liberties.
Tell me more.
The big story that I read was off of Reuters, and apparently they put 24 green activists under house arrest ahead of the UN climate talks. I guess that was last week, I guess, when it happened. But I think it's like a full month thing. But they used the emergency laws enacted by the terrorist attacks to do this.
It seems like whenever they have some kind of international meeting in Europe that the crazies come out for it, doesn't it? I mean, like people that are a place that is otherwise civilized and nothing, untoward seems to occur, that just, people in ski masks are flipping cars over and setting them on fire and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, according to the story over at the Reason.com Hit and Run blog, as part of the extended state of emergency imposed on the country following the terror attacks in November, groups or individuals deemed a, quote, threat to security or public order, unquote, can be placed under house arrest. So that's basically pre-crime, right? That's where the government decides that, oh, well, we think you might do something, so therefore you're now under our control. Pretty scary stuff.
It's stupid, especially because, I think the Interior Minister actually, he spoke about it for them. And, then Greenpeace France came out and was like, these people are they're pacifists. And,
well, that doesn't matter.
They've never.
Well, it's a lot easier to go after the pacifists. They're not going to be too much trouble when you put them on house arrest.
The way the way the order is written here, this extended state of emergency says that someone who is a threat to security or public order. So you can be a pacifist and still go out and be a threat to public order by, let's say, chaining yourself to the police station doors or something like that. There's something, that can be done to commit disorderly conduct, to walk in front of traffic or whatever, to block people from getting point A to point B. You can do all of those things and still be a pacifist. So, I mean, by the way, I'm not justifying what they've done in France. I'm just explaining why, even though they're completely nonviolent, the state still is zeroing in on them.
Right. Well, they also shut down some mosques from what I'm not sure the source of that, but I read that they shut down 3 mosques, and the big one that they were touting in the news story was, they raided it and they found radicalization pamphlets and a handgun and some hard drives. And I was thinking that just doesn't seem like, I mean, yeah, radicalization pamphlets maybe, but I don't know their free speech laws either, but to me, that just seems like not that big of a bust, right? I mean,
Well,
you'd
it's
think that
France, so having a gun's a big deal, I guess.
if you were worried about people going out and doing a mass killing, a handgun wouldn't do it, right?
No, it's not gonna
so,
cut it.
a handgun's the kind of thing that can be dropped down and said, "Look what we have found here." Well, it's a handgun. It just stops the whole.
Are you suggesting it was planted?
I'm suggesting that French people talk like they're from East Germany.
Yeah, it didn't sound very French.
Well, a handgun's really weird. Like that's an odd thing.
That's a self-defense. Kind of weapon more than anything else.
Yeah,
really.
maybe it's defending the mosque itself against some kind of invader
Could
or
very
something.
well be. Aaron, great call. Thanks for pointing that out tonight because I hadn't heard that. Appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Self-defense is part of the Sikh religion. So, I don't know the specifics on every religion, but every Sikh is required to carry a knife on them, and that's part of their religion.
Now, what is the Sikh? Is that a
That's
Christian
the ones
or a
that
Muslim?
actually do wear the turbans. They're not Muslim in any way.
Right. What are they?
I don't know. They're
Okay.
Sikhs.
Yeah. Is it a Christian or is it like a Sikh
No.
its own religion?
It's
Okay.
something different than a Christian and a Muslim.
Juliette Rousseau, this is from the New York Times, the head of Coalition Climate 21, an umbrella group for environmental activists, said the authorities had searched homes and seized computers and other equipment belonging to activists who have no connection to terrorism. She says, quote, "There's clearly an environment to keep activists out. The state of emergency is targeting activist movements. This is not justified. These people are under house arrest. They don't have any kind of criminal record." She said further that the impression is that we have is that there's this conference taking place, and meanwhile, people in civil society are being asphyxiated. Further, France 24 spoke with one of the activists placed under house arrest who described a raid on her house.
People
Quote,
are being asphyxiated at the House of Brest.
Quote, "They entered the apartment with shotguns and assault rifles. It was quite violent," she said. "They pinned us to the ground. It lasted quite a long time. We had no idea why they were there. Officers handed her a restraining order, informing her she can no longer leave Rennes, is required to register 3 times a day at the local police station, and must stay at home between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Mark, were you on probation at all when you got out of prison?
Very briefly.
How many times did you have to check in with the police department?
Monthly.
This is 3 times a day.
It's a little nuts.
Pretty serious restrictions for people who have not been convicted of any sort of crime. That is what is happening apparently in France right now, and that's pretty scary stuff. Now, don't tell yourself that, well, it's France. It can't happen here. Don't forget, there were after
Donald Trump wanted to get a list of Muslims and register them. So,
well, these aren't even Muslims; these are environmental activists in France. So the French government is using the emergency powers that they've handed themselves, because that's how emergency powers work. It's the government agent, the head bosses in the government, president or whoever it is, says, "I declare there are now emergency powers, and we will do what we want to protect the people." And of course, as long as they keep couching it in the idea that they're protecting people, most people are going to go along with it.
The suggestion is that they represent some larger percentage than half of the people, which is, ridiculous.
Almost never true. Most people don't vote in the United States. I don't know what the turnout is in France, but
likely
I suspect
not much better.
Not that great. Let's go to Mike, listening in Oregon. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Just wanted to say, for the record, Mark, I've heard what happened to you, I think, when you were in Florida, and I believe that you should be able to own any kind of weapon you want to defend yourself. I truly believe that. The thing I want to call in today about is the Second Amendment. And I'm glad we have the Bill of Rights, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to the Second Amendment, it's very limiting when it comes to what you're allowed, from what I can see, what you're allowed to defend yourself with. It says the right to keep and bear arms. Well, most people think, okay, a gun. But not everyone wants to own a gun. Some people want to own a knife. Well, I'm a knife collector, and while I would never harm somebody, shouldn't it be my right to be able to carry a knife with me? Well, if somebody doesn't want to carry a gun, and they have the right to defend themselves, which I think is more important than the right to keep and bear arms, you're now going to be charged with a crime for carrying something that the government doesn't approve to defend yourself. So it seems like it's only limited to guns, and that to me is very restricting. What are you guys' thoughts?
I think that it's even more ridiculous that the government outlaws sharp metal. With a gun, they can point to things in in the past or whatever. They can say mass
Which
shootings.
government outlaws sharp metal?
Many of them.
Not the New Hampshire government, though.
Right. Well, not everybody who's listening to this is in New Hampshire, Ian.
Okay, well, when you say the government, I think we should be clear. Are you talking about the UK government?
If the UK government can do it, then the United
New York
States,
government?
the New York State outlaws lots of knives that has to do with sort of gravity and
Gotcha.
Basically they're trying to outlaw switchblades. But if you can flip the knife open with one hand, they can argue that it's a gravity blade.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of places. Canada has some restrictive knife laws too, and ultimately this is just sharp metal that they're outlawing. It's nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. Mike, thanks for the call tonight. Our toll-free number, it's 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We have Skype as well. Skype on in here to the show. Skype username is LRN.FM. The emergency powers in Paris, actually all across France, being used to oppress activists. Anybody surprised by this? This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Hour 2 is coming up. Join us. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, December 5th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,086 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $374. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, heavy airstrikes and artillery shellings in the area around eastern Ghouta and Douma, rebel-held areas on the outskirts of Damascus, left at least 56 civilians dead, including a number of children. The observatory reported the strikes were carried out by the Syrian military, though the local rebel faction accused the Russian military of being behind the attacks, saying they deliberately targeted civilians in the attacks. The eastern Ghouta region has been rebel held for years and is regularly targeted by deadly airstrikes. Though surrounded by the Syrian military for a long time, they've never made any serious effort to move into the area and retake it. The rebels in eastern Ghouta have been implicated in using human shields in the past to increase the civilian death toll of airstrikes, famously keeping Shiites in cages and rolling them around to potential targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a picture of strength painted by Friday's U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics job report essentially guarantees an interest rate increase this month. The monthly report said the economy added 211,000 private sector jobs in November, and September and October increases were revised upward. The unemployment rate held at 5%. New jobs were concentrated in construction, professional and technical services, and healthcare. Jason Furman, chairman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, said in a statement, "We have added more jobs over the past 3 years than in any 3-year period since 2000, and wages are continuing to rise." A strong showing by the labor market was the last requirement for a planned interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve, the first in nearly a decade. In a speech Wednesday to the Economic Club of Washington, Yellen said, "It is a day that I expect we are all looking forward to. Ongoing gains in the labor market, coupled with my judgment that longer-term inflation expectations remain reasonably well anchored, serve to bolster my confidence in a return to inflation to 2% as the disinflationary effects of declines in energy and import prices wane." She said raising interest rates would indicate how far our economy has come in recovering from the effects of the financial crisis and the Great Recession. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Texas on Friday withdrew its request for a temporary restraining order to prevent the imminent resettlement of 21 Syrian refugees into the state, saying the U.S. government had provided it with the information it sought on the group. The move came just hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed papers in a federal court in Dallas, saying the state did not have the authority to act on national immigration policy and could not bar the refugees from resettling. The relief agency that plans to resettle the Syrians in the coming days filed a separate motion at the U.S. District Court in Dallas, contending that Texas could not discriminate against refugees on the basis of nationality because that violates U.S. civil rights laws. The International Rescue Committee said in its filing, Texas is not discriminating against all refugees, only Syrian refugees. The result of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar the local resettlement of Syrian refugees. The International Rescue Committee plans to relocate a family of Syrians to Dallas on December 7th and another family of 6 Syrians to Houston on the same day, and a family of 8 Syrians in Houston on December 10th, along with a 26-year-old woman whose mother resides in the area. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Today's fitness trackers can tell how far you're running, but tomorrow's can tell you why you're running. The new Nike Run Logic Plus pinpoints the desperate psychological demons at the root of your exercise routine. Tech Trends reporter Aaron Vaughn has more.
It's a problem all runners face. You run and you run and you run, but it's never enough. No matter how many miles you put in, that gnawing ache at your soul never goes away. Now Nike's engineers have found a way for runners to use that existential pain to push themselves even farther. Users keep the device on their wrist at all times. It not only records running times and distances, it also analyzes all of the user's social interactions and emotional patterns. It then creates a unique, detailed profile that dredges the inspiring well of inner turmoil inside every runner. Early users say they notice a big impact on their workout.
I started marathoning when I was 28. I thought it was time to get in shape, but then once I realized I was actually running from my meaningless job in ad sales, I started running a lot more, like all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour. Plenty of time for you to share your thoughts with us. Also, we had started the show with a man who slashed another man in the throat with a machete after shouting, "This is for Syria," in a train station in the UK. At the same time, you've also got news about the Islamic State claiming that the married couple who are now dead but murdered 14 people in San Bernardino this week was indeed an ISIS-supported follower, basically, that they were part of ISIS, essentially.
I wonder what it takes to be part of ISIS. They obviously weren't sent over here since ISIS was created. They're just sympathizers or something like that kind of got – I mean, what does it mean? Are they sending checks? Because
I doubt it.
Doubt it, right? I mean, support –
I don't suspect that ISIS is particularly well-funded, although on the other hand, there are people in Iraq who say that they've seen U.S. helicopters dropping supplies to ISIS positions. So who knows what's really going on there. You're welcome to share your thoughts here with us at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also talked about felons and bearing arms. Let's go to Dave in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Dave.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of raise the warning about sort of what I guess I would call the quasi-return of a quasi-government organization in New Hampshire. That is, it's so quasi, I'm not even sure I can name it. It's a layer of different things. One of them is called NH Listens, which is underneath a thing called Granite State Future, which is underneath a thing called the Regional Planning Commissions, which is defined as a non-profit collection of municipalities. So it's like a sixth level of government that you sort of have to deal with, and yet no one pays any attention to it.
What's it called again?
Well, that's how complicated and slippery it is. Which part of it called? the part that's changing, the thing that's new and seems to be coming back, is a thing called listening sessions that are being put together by an organization called NH Listen, which is underneath the Regional Planning Commissions. So I've been to one of these meetings. What happened was they were sort of dormant for the last year or two, and what's changed now is that they're starting to train more people again. They're training these people they call facilitators. They have these meetings where they invite the public. They break up into little groups, and they listen to you, supposedly.
Yeah,
it's all federally funded. Well, some of it's federally funded, some of it's state-related. It's so slippery, I've never been able to get my hands on what they're actually doing.
Didn't you attend one of these once? This is Dave Ridley, by the way, from RidleyReport.com on the line with us here. I remember you reporting from one of these. You were there for it, right?
Yeah, I went to one, and I also went to a town government meeting, probably a regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting in Merrimack, where they were interacting with the Granite State Futures people.
So who is it that they're supposedly listening on behalf of?
Well, who knows? It's hard to say. They're partly federally funded. They represent the regional planning commissions, which are established by state statute in the mid-20th century. The commissions sort of work together on planning. They have a bunch of planning professionals. What exactly they do is just it's very confusing to me.
It sounds to me like they're looking for opportunities to prevent people from doing what they want to do on their property. Obviously, if your property affects somebody else's property, but you shouldn't. There's going to be an issue, a tort perhaps, but. This is if planning boards, that's what they're all about. You can't do that there. I'm sorry. I represent the people of where the heck ever. And, we say that, nope, you can't do that. We've got some rules.
So when you were at one of these things previously, Dave, did you actually go and break off into one of the groups that you were talking about?
Yeah, I just went with my camera and pretty much filmed, everything that went on. So you can tell a lot about an organization by how they react to the camera, right? You can't tell what they're doing behind the scenes, but you can just observe how transparent they are. I would rate them as average in the way they interacted with the camera. They didn't try to stop me from filming the breakout session that I was in. And I interviewed Michelle Holt-Shannon, I think was her name, the lady who's kind of in charge of it. And I tried to, but they only interfered with me when I tried to interview a bureaucrat who was there.
But despite actually being there and despite interviewing the woman in charge of it, you couldn't discern the point of the listening session?
Not the real purpose. They have a statement on their website that says what they're trying to do. It was sufficiently milquetoast that I can't even quote a third of it for you. It's just basically saying NH Listen is talking to each other about how much we like our towns and working together on things and getting
it sounds so innocent
about planning.
It sounds so innocent.
But again, if nothing else, it's a waste of money, of taxpayer money, and
sure.
Further. The other problem is it's sort of like a sixth layer of government that we have to deal with, and it is not clearly defined.
What do you think people should do about this, Dave? Should free staters, liberty-minded people invade these sessions and sit quietly and see what's going on, or offer their thoughts when appropriate?
Well, what happened at the one I went to is I just noticed that there were a lot of other skeptical people around me wondering why this was going on, and they were in there saying, why are you guys doing this? And they were talking to me on camera about why is this going on? Why are we even having to be here? We already, have town meetings we have to go to, why this in addition?
So what you're saying is the kind of the grumpy New Hampshireites were already on the ball on this particular thing, is what you're saying.
Kind of. But if you think about it, like even like a local government, as bad as it might be, at least it has to schedule regular meetings and hold public hearings and have public meetings, and you kind of know what you're interacting with at least.
Right.
With this, it's just so slippery. It shouldn't exist. It doesn't seem to have any reason for being.
And you said this thing is federally funded, so there's a good chance something like this exists in other states. People might want to, take a look around, maybe Google it and see where else this is happening. Dave, thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Dave Ridley he's been reporting from New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project for a long time. He moved here since before you and I did, Mark. The Free State Project is a movement of libertarian types who are converging their activism in one place. So you and I came up from Florida. I think Dave moved from Boston, I believe. And so people from all around the world are converging in New Hampshire and getting active. And Dave's one of the best. If you want to see change for more liberty or whatever change you might want to see, you're going to have to get involved. Locally is the best way to get involved. The unfortunate part is if you're trying to change the world for more liberty is that many of the liberty activists are picking up and moving so that they can get involved and be concentrated. Concentration makes a real difference. Right. And that place that they're moving is New Hampshire. So, it makes it difficult for the person who wants to be active and on behalf of liberty because people are leaving and coming to New Hampshire. 18,000 people are currently signed up for the Free State Project, more than 18,000. And we want to reach 20,000 before an official move begins. There's then a 5-year moving window that the 20,000 folks have to make the move to New Hampshire. Mark, you and I, we moved early. In fact, we've been here for almost a decade. It's not more than 18,000. It's 17,800. Oh, wow. For whatever reason. It's more than 89%. Oh, you're right. More than 89%. So it'll be 90%, and then it'll be 18,000. Yeah. Right. Okay. I was getting ahead of myself, but we will hit that 90% very soon. Oh, you're only 161 ahead of yourself. So we'll probably have that by the end of the night. I don't know about that. That's a little optimistic, but if you feel so inclined, please go to freestateproject.org. If you love liberty, learn about it, then get signed up for it, because if you care about freedom, this is the place to be. There's a great documentary film that you can check out to learn a lot more. It's called 101reasonsfilm.com. That'll take you straight to a free YouTube of this hour-long documentary that goes over some of the reasons why New Hampshire already is arguably the freest place and why it's going to be even more free after we get thousands and thousands more libertarians focusing their efforts here. Don't forget the Liberty Forum with Edward Snowden at it here coming up soon. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So Reuters is reporting that the Islamic State is saying the married couple who killed the 14 folks in California this week in San Bernardino were followers of the Islamic State. 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts with us. 855-450-3733 and bring up whatever you want. This is Free Talk Live. Every once in a while you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon.
You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Thousands of people seeking home security get ripped off every day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that's your only option. They've got hordes of salesmen out there trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing huge checks month after month with no way out. It's robbery by contract, and it can cost you thousands. But there's a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get award-winning 24/7 protection. Security professionals watching over your home, ready to instantly send police to the rescue for just $14.99 per month. That's less than half what most companies charge. Protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafedefense.com today for an exclusive 10% offer and get a free keychain remote worth $25. Only when you go to simplysafedefense.com. simplysafedefense.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk live Saturday edition, continuing here. You may join us and bring up whatever you want to discuss. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. The Islamic State finally taking responsibility, apparently, for the horrific murdering that went on this week in San Bernardino, with 14 dead at the hands, allegedly, of 2 members of the Islamic State. Or at the very least, they're saying that there's some sort of connection between them. We'll give you more information about that. It's Ian and Mark in the studio here tonight. Mark, you got a new book that I've seen you carrying it around about immigration.
Yeah, it's immigration, individual versus national borders. There's Austrian economists like Hoppe and Rothbard, they adopted in their writings a position against open borders, a position that many libertarians, in fact, take. David Hathaway's new book, Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, it takes apart those arguments against open borders.
So he's pro-open borders.
Yes, he's pro-open borders, while still supporting the position that an individual property owner has the absolute right to exclude or invite anyone onto their property. Many times you've heard people make the argument that, hey, look, why don't you let these immigrants come and camp out in your living room? Well, there's a difference, and he, as from an academic and intellectual standpoint, breaks down that particular argument. You can get a copy of Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, many other arguments too, through Amazon, and get either its Kindle or its print form. It's Immigration, Individual versus National Borders by David Hathaway.
It's looks like a nice short book too, which I always like.
Well, he makes his arguments in a succinct fashion.
Concise.
Yeah.
Our toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Jeff, listening in Elgin, Illinois. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Hey there.
Regional government has been called 20th century feudalism by Archibald Roberts, the head of the Committee to Restore the Constitution. Anything with the word regional in it is look for it. In Illinois, they have the RTA, Regional Transportation Authority. You'll notice that villages have presidents and managers. So this is all an extra layer of government that costs more, as well as being more regulatory, and it's kind of a Marxist style of government with its own taxes. And NIPSI in Illinois is the Northern Illinois Planning Commission. So this is more Marxist stuff. And this is all done on purpose by these people who put out hundreds of these organizations. And the word Soviet means that you have to go before this planning group to get permission, like a permit for something. Does that sound familiar?
I don't know what Soviet means, frankly.
That's my understanding of it. That in Russia that they had a Soviet. So if you wanted to have if you wanted to build something or whatever, you had to go to the local Soviet, which was probably the neighbors you didn't get along with that the government hired to tell you if you could have permission to do something.
Well, that would make sense, right?
Any government council, it says, local council originally elected by only manual workers with certain powers of local administration.
And they created the Soviet Union. So that's interesting. I never really knew what that word meant. Thanks for that.
You know.
So one thing I guess I wonder is
Thanks for the call, Jeff.
Yeah, we've got these arbitrary lines out there called towns and counties and whatever they are, right? I've got to cross a couple of these lines to get
parishes in Louisiana.
Yeah, right. Just these things, and it's not like
commonwealths.
It's not like they were created with the purpose of properly and efficiently administering the use of municipal assets in the 21st century. Right?
No.
They weren't. I mean, these are just holdovers.
These are old ideas.
And so, for instance, here in New England, I don't know how it is in the rest of the states, but I'm sure that, even where I'm from originally, where counties decided how many fire stations they were and that sort of thing. Here in New England, where it's towns, it can be confusing as to where the fire station should be from a central standpoint. How many trucks should we have for a particular area? Do we have too many? Costing us too much? Do we have too few? Meaning that we're not covered the way we should be. So sometimes I think regional might be a better way to do some things.
Why? I mean, wouldn't that just centralize more power?
I'm only saying that doing some things.
Like what? Like what would
it be? Fire services. I'm a fireman.
Okay, but how is it that centralizing that makes it more efficient?
Because you would decide how many, like a person who does it for a living would decide how many fire trucks he needs in a given geographic area, rather than, every town says, you know what, we need 2 engines in case one breaks down. We need 2 tankers in case one breaks down. And we do have a building that's 3 stories tall, so we better have a ladder truck and, all these other things they say when they don't really need them.
But who's to guarantee that the one person who's making decisions for the region is making the right decisions?
You can only be guaranteed that one person is just going to want more. That's what happens when they're in charge.
So why would you advocate for that?
I'm simply saying it might be more efficient than the way that towns are done.
I don't know. I don't see any evidence that nothing has persuaded me that would be more efficient necessarily. And besides, at least with the towns, you have the competition between them to some extent.
And
if you
what
want to
way?
go to the town where they don't have as much fire equipment, then you can move into that town, right?
It costs you how many tens of thousands of dollars to pick up and move once you own a house?
So make the decision beforehand.
And plus,
if it's important to
who
you.
moves based on fire service?
I don't know.
Almost
Probably
nobody. Nobody. I mean, you don't move based on fire service, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what you do. You go to the local hardware store and you buy half a dozen fire extinguishers, put them around the house. You want to make sure you want to have one in the kitchen. You want to make sure you have one in the garage, a few different places. Fire extinguishers make all the difference in the world.
That makes sense.
Check your batteries on your fire alarms and make sure you have CO2 alarms too. You can't be too careful. Remember, your kids aren't going to wake up when a fire alarm goes off. Kids are evolutionarily, they can sleep a heck of a lot harder than adults can, so make sure you know that too.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it seems like decision-making locally is generally a better thing just because it's closer to home. You have more influence over it. Like, for instance, there are some towns here in New Hampshire where there are actually libertarians who've been elected to town selectmen. And so if enough liberty-minded people get involved in one place, then they might be able to actually change the policy in a much more, fiscally sound manner, right?
Locally, people are only ignorant locally. Local people are ignorant regionally too. They don't know what's going on in the particular fire department. They don't know, they don't have any capacity to make a better vote on a town level than they would on a regional level.
But they would have the chance to affect the town level, whereas the regional government, they wouldn't have any say.
It would get bigger.
Right? Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE.
Governments are controlled by activists and bureaucrats. Those are the people that control.
And we've got activists here in New Hampshire, so I don't think you should be advocating for more centralization of power, in my opinion. But let's go to Doug, listening in Chicago. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Doug.
I actually called about immigration, but I actually worked for a part-time fire department, too, before I get to what I want to talk about.
Sure.
And I can tell you that I know how they are, Mark, when you work for a volunteer department, but when we had to order a rig, when they got done adding all the crap onto it that they didn't need, like chrome for another 15 or 10 grand, better air ride, which would be another 10 grand, which you don't need, leather, a whole bunch of crap that you don't need for a fire engine. You can look at more than 100 grand over what it would normally be for the bottom.
And they're still incredibly expensive pieces of equipment. I mean, on flat out stock, that thing's like $250,000.
And for what? To make it look good in a parade? You know what I mean? I'd rather have more money in my pocket.
Doug, stand by. I know you were calling about immigration. We can talk about that with you. It's Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
The warning signs.
At first, he made me feel special. He promised he'd look after me, provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me, about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right.
Stop the insanity of voting for the same old abusers. Declare your independence from the two-party system and join the New Hampshire Liberty Party today. at nhliberty.info. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us on the radio here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're doing another giveaway, Mark, of the new Tiger Light, the DAD, as they call it.
Yeah, this is a great device. It, by the way, it retails for $130. It's what it is it's a self-defense device that's non-lethal. It's a super bright flashlight, polycarbonate housing, and a pepper spray thing built in. Now, this isn't like the pepper spray you buy at the convenience store or anything like that. This is highly propelled, goes like 15 feet. This is what you imagine the pepper spray that you do at the store, how it acts. So this is the kind of thing that's not going to leave you in the lurch. It's a well-manufactured device. It also has a GPS crowd alert technology. You can go find out more about it at tigerlight.net, but suffice to say that it's a great prize. It's awesome. And all you have to do to be eligible for the prize, you don't have to like what we say on Free Talk Live. You don't have to agree with us 100% of the time. You don't have to. All you have to do is go to demo.freetalklive.com. That's DEMO, demo.freetalklive.com. Fill out our demographic surveys. The demographics.
How long does it take?
It depends on how much of you decide to fill out. I mean, there's more and less of it, but we'd like as much information as you can get from us. You're going to have to enter your email address. That email address, the intention is that we'll be able to use it in contests. We use it over and over again, so this is one entry for many contests into the future. Demo.freetalklive.com.
All right, we're going to go back to Doug in Chicago. Doug, you're back on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of bring up the theory that I kind of agree with now, that I think maybe Trump might actually be working for the Democratic Party. And here can be why. When you look at the demographic change of the country and the number, I mean, I had been flipping through the TV the other day, and there had been on public television a Republican talking about it. And when you look at the demographic change, whoever the candidate will be who will win cannot really win in the upcoming election without the Latino vote.
Yep.
And we're not getting the Latino vote coming in here by them coming in over the border illegally. We're getting the Latino vote by the number of people who are under the age of 18 every year that are turning 18. Okay? And when you have people calling in here that are talking about, throwing them out, and every week you have Trump, trampling over them and bad mouthing them, and comparing them to, total evil, pretty much. If you're up and coming 18-year-old getting ready to vote, and your mom and dad came here illegally, and you're watching your mom be a maid and your father taking, labor job, whatever he can find, you're probably not going to vote Republican. You know what I mean? After hearing that all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, how different is Trump from the rest of them?
Cruz and Rubio? Really?
You're hearing much more.
I don't know who these people are, Mark.
Okay.
It's an honest question. How different is he from the rest of them?
Trump lays out the argument in a much more hyperbolic fashion, he sounds for all the world like a bigot, and I know a lot of people like him because they feel like he's going to do something about the illegal immigration problem. But what you have to consider when you're considering the illegal immigration problem is that their rhetoric can sound an awful lot like "Dem Mexicans is ruining our way of life," and not true at all. For one, what you need to consider is that Mexicans in Texas tend to be split between Republican and Democratic votes. I mean, pretty evenly. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, there are places where they vote predominantly Democrat, but those places are predominantly Democrat. In many ways, they're products of the place that they live, like so many people are. And I think that the Republican Party is in danger of seeming like the white party if they're not careful. I'm saying
Haven't they always seemed like that?
No, that's absolute bullcrap.
Okay.
I mean, you really should just stop talking. The Republican Party was the anti-slavery party.
I'm just talking about, I guess always, I mean, like in my lifetime.
Yeah, in your lifetime, there was a switch from the Dixiecrats over to the Republican Party, and there's some argument for that. But nonetheless, this is something the Republicans really have to sort out. They had it all really under control with Bush and that sort of thing, but with Obama taking office, the Republican Party's sounded far more jingoist.
So your theory, Doug, is that Donald Trump is actually a Democrat
He's a Democratic donor. We know that much.
He's running as a Republican. Well, people do things in the past, and then they can change, right? That he's running as.
I'm a Caucasian man, but I have the privilege of many of the people that have married into my family being Latino. And the overwhelming majority of them vote Democrat for the fact that they look at the Libertarian Party being a branch of the Republican Party, nothing more than a branch of the Republican Party. When in reality, if you look at it, they're not informed enough to be able to differentiate between the two. You know what I mean? And if you inform people of it, I think that can be a big part of the libertarian problem issue with the Libertarian Party too. People aren't knowledgeable enough yet to figure out actually what we are for. You know what I mean? They look at it being nothing more than a branch of the Republican Party. Look, a lot of the Latino people from Latin America, they have incredible trouble with their government, which can be why a lot of them are fleeing. I mean, that should be the type of thing where they should be drawn to the Libertarian Party.
Absolutely.
But if you're a Republican, I mean, you're ensuring that you're going to either put Bernie or Clinton in the upcoming election. There will be undoubtedly keep the rhetoric going, keep the anti-immigrant rhetoric going. I mean, look, if your mother and dad were treated and talked about the way that they're talking about them, you wouldn't vote for them either.
Yeah, and one thing we have in this country, we have a welfare problem. We don't have an immigration problem. I think that most of this stuff would be cleared up. Most of the concern about illegal immigration would clear it up if there wasn't all these welfare programs for people to take immigrants to take advantage of, thus causing resentment among tax-paying individuals.
Well, none of the Republicans or Democrats are going to do anything about the welfare programs. That's for sure.
They're not going to stop it. No.
Hey, Doug, thanks for your call tonight. Great points. I really appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Let's go to Will. He's on the line in Tennessee via Skype. Hello, Will.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's on your mind tonight?
I actually wanted to bring a little piece of good news to you. Just came across the wire. There's a group called Launchgood. They're similar to an Indiegogo or GoFundMe organization, but it's a group that was set up specifically by Muslims in the U.S. to help Muslims in the U.S. fund things that they feel are important, to raise money for different organizations or different are happening around the country. We're actually using Launchgood to raise money to get hardware for a radio show.
Excellent.
So what else? Their wire is currently their most popular campaign is called Muslims United with SB, or American Muslims United with San
We're losing some
Bernardino.
packets here. What was it called?
American Muslims United with San Bernardino.
Okay.
And in 24 hours, the American Muslim community has raised over $20,000 for the families.
I'm sorry, we lost more packets. They raised how much?
Over $20,000 in 24 hours.
It's not bad.
For the families of the victims in San Bernardino.
Wow, cool. Now, you have to be a Muslim to go and use the site, or can anyone like contribute to one of these campaigns?
Oh, anyone can contribute, but I think, as far as I know, that it's specifically designed to be a place where Muslim activists, you present your idea to their organization, and you make a proposal, and then you do an interview. And if the Launchgood staffers think that it's something that's worthwhile, then they'll help you put together your fundraising campaign, and then you launch it to the greater world to make donations. But as far as I know, I think it's specifically built around Muslim activists trying to raise money.
Cool, man. Well, good luck with your fundraiser. I hope it comes through for you, because I'm really excited about the idea of Muslims for Liberty having its own radio show, which will hopefully be appearing on LRN.FM. Thanks for the call, Will. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The Launchgood site looks like it is launchgood.com. Looks like a great site. 855-450-3733. You may join us. It's Free Talk Live.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Ely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit-selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away 5,000 free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-961-8439. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-961-8439. 1-800-961-8439.
We've had an amazing year here at Supernatural Silver. We've truly enjoyed the fantastic response from thousands of people as they've tried our extraordinary product, and we're thrilled at the life-changing results people have. Our company email is continually full of happy, satisfied customers who thank us for the help they've received from Supernatural Silver. This holiday season, as you think of gifts to give your loved ones, consider giving Supernatural Silver, a gift that can help provide good health and wellness, a gift that can change lives and make a real difference in a world where we are constantly exposed to dangerous health threats. Give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Give Supernatural Silver. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code HOLIDAY2015 for 20% off. And this holiday season, we wish you and yours the blessings of peace and good health from all of us here at supernaturalsilver.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. It's Friday and metals are rocking. Gold is up $19 at $1,074 per ounce. Silver is 21 cents higher at $14.38 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $360 US. We still have plenty of 2015 US Mint silver and gold eagle coins available. Get yours today. Give Robertson Roberts a call at 800-874-9760 or shop online at rrbi.co.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk live Saturday edition. You may join us. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM with you. In studio, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And we were discussing briefly the conflict on the air tonight was between a discussion about fire departments. Mark, you had said that maybe it would be more efficient to have a central authority in a region controlling fire department locations rather than like what we have here in New Hampshire, which is the towns, each individually deciding on all their fire department stuff. And I pointed out that, well, I wasn't so sure about that. But you made a point when we were off the air that I thought was interesting. You said, well, would we be better off if they took each town, divided it in by 4, and then each fourth of the town then would decide what fire department things to have and trucks and things like that.
Yeah, I think that really the best way to find out what the most efficient way to distribute firefighting equipment and that sort of thing is to have the free market do it.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's where I wanted to go with this, was that, we were sort of arguing over which way to rearrange the government deck chairs of the Titanic, so to speak. And ultimately, what we should be talking about is ending government involvement in fire protection and what that would look like, because we don't really know. Maybe the market would determine that only one entity would be necessary to accurately distribute equipment and locations of firehouses and things like that.
It's unlikely that it would, because that entity would then drive up pricing to the point that people would then want, other entities.
Well, not necessarily. And maybe they're so good at it they can keep the prices so cheap that no one else bothers to compete.
When
with
has
them.
a monopoly really ever occurred?
It's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Because the one guy that does plumbing in town, if you've got a small town, maybe one guy does plumbing. Well, if he charges too much for plumbing, somebody's either going to come in town and begin advertising from out of town or whatever their plumbing services. Now, if a big plumbing job comes along, that guy might contract with the other guy and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to need 2 hands here, so I need some help. And that may be what happens, too, in a free market firefighting service. There are non-governmental fire departments in the country, and basically forest fires in many ways are fought by non-governmental agencies.
Really?
Yeah. And
who's fighting those?
Private
companies?
Yeah, companies that now they're not doing it sort of on their own. They're getting contracted by states and the federal government to do it, but in many cases,
still a little better than actually having the government do it.
What's better?
Having some private company take care of it?
I suppose. I mean, sometimes there's an argument for that.
But ultimately, you're talking about decentralizing to the point where the government is not in control of fire departments at all. Now, the question is, how do you get from here to there? Would it be just cut them loose?
No clue.
Just cut them loose? Like, okay, here you go, City of Keene, because we're in Keene, New Hampshire, which is a city of 22,000 people. The towns surrounding it are much smaller. So the city fire department is actually a professional paid fire department, whereas the towns surrounding it, I think, are all volunteer if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know the specifics.
I don't know. Many of them are volunteers. That much I know is true. And so would the idea be, okay, well, as of the next fiscal year, you guys are not going to be receiving any money from the government, so figure out how to provide services to people. Figure out how to bill for services. Maybe billing each household in advance, invite them into some sort of a program, like an insurance program.
Some do things like that, but what you need to understand is that's going to increase, administrative costs for the departments. Currently,
I suspect they could probably cut an administrator and then cover all those costs.
There's only one administrator in my town.
I'm not talking about your town. We're talking about the city of Keene.
Okay.
Your town's already a volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if you cut that volunteer fire department loose and say, look, you're not getting any more funding and you're going to have to bill to get your funding or whatever, that's going to grow the size of the department and therefore increase inefficiency.
Well, I mean, billing isn't the only way to do it. That would be one option, to have people subscribe to some sort of service for protection. They could, do the old boot thing, right, where the firemen go out and collect money at the county fair.
Why would I do that?
On the streets or
I'm asking you as a volunteer firefighter, why am I going to get out with my boot and ask you for money to put together equipment so that I can come and save your butt from your stupid stuff that you do? Remember that 90% of the things I do is solving problems of dumb people. Okay.
I don't know, Mark. I'm just suggesting some options here. Yeah. Whether you would be interested in them or not, I don't know. But maybe other people would, perhaps, or maybe they just put the word out that they're doing a fundraiser.
There are firefighters right now going, yeah, that's what I do all day. Dumb people, because most of the things we're there for, people looking at their phones while they're driving, people consuming mind-altering substances and doing a whole variety of things that they shouldn't have been doing, and all that stuff. And then there's the medical stuff. Some medical stuff that just happens.
I was just suggesting other ways to fundraise. By no means am I an excellent fundraiser. I'm actually a very poor fundraiser. I'm not very good at it at all. But putting the word out that you've got one. So using a site like a Launchgood or a whatever. What are the other ones? These fundraising sites.
Yeah, the Kickstarter and Indiegogo and these sorts of things. It's not like it's not like money grows on trees.
We need a new fire truck.
You don't start an Indiegogo campaign and it just poof, a fire truck appears. Okay, you've got to market it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I'm going to market it, I might as well go to the county fair with a boot.
Mm-hmm.
And this equipment, because it is bought by
well, just because you can't think of how to do it, Mark, doesn't mean that someone else can't figure it out.
You
sound a little grumpy, in my opinion. Maybe somebody who's a little more positive would be able to come up with something. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Are very complicated.
It's 855-450-3733. So you're saying it's actually more complicated to run a business than it is to do it with the government? I don't believe that.
It's certainly going to be more competent with our more confusing than it is with our department, where we don't have to do billing.
So let's continue here. We go to Jim in California. You're on Free Talk Live, and if you've got any ideas for how to cut the fire departments loose, Mark works for one, and he can't figure it out. So that's not good.
Jim,
I don't have any idea.
Bill, insurance companies.
I don't have any ideas for that. I just know what I've learned in over 70-plus years in America. If you think you're free, step out there without any money. If you think you own something, quit paying taxes on it. And the other one I already forgot while you guys are yabbering for 10 minutes. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. The toll-free number, I don't think he was holding for that long, 855-450-3733. He's right, though. If you want to prove you...
I didn't even hear what he said. I couldn't understand it. The accent was too thick for me.
Was that a California accent
or
something like that? Well, anyway, what he said, Mark, was that if you want to see if you're free, step outside with no money, and if you want to see if you own something, don't pay taxes on it.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Certainly, money does give one choices in life.
I love to point this out to people we talk about owning a house in America. That's the American dream. You don't own property because property taxes function remarkably like rent. So if you don't believe you rent your property, that renting property means you own it, which is obvious. You rent property, you don't own it. Well, if you have to pay property taxes, which occur on a regular basis, sometimes annually, sometimes quarterly, sometimes semi-annually, I don't even know. There's probably some government out there that charges you monthly for your property taxes, or at least has a program where you can set money aside monthly to pay your property taxes. Well, and then they come and they take your property from you, ultimately, because you don't pay. that lets you know right there you don't own anything, not your property, not your real estate at least.
Let's talk to Tom. He's in Wisconsin, listening in Madison to the Mike 92.1. Hey, Tom.
Hey, nice to hear your show.
Welcome, sir.
It's nice to hear an alternative point of view, but I think it's based in fantasy. The way you guys are weaving these alternative stories tonight, it's like you're high or something. The idea of replacing fire departments with Kickstarter programs or privatizing is the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life.
There are lots of private fire departments.
No, I'm sorry. 85% of all EMS in the United States is volunteer. Most of the rural fire departments are volunteer.
Yep.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do if you just turn them loose in your crazy scenario that you just did, where all of a sudden these volunteers who are already giving 150% of their time now have to be available for fundraising? And you even admit that you have no idea how to do the fundraising. I don't see why people would have to do such horrible, irresponsible actions just to fulfill some kind of crazy policy that you have.
Well, I don't think it's crazy to not threaten my neighbors. I mean, that's really what my policies are based on, is like, let's see if people can get along with one another on a consensual basis rather than using the threat of violence to get them to do what we want them to.
Actually, no, it's quite the opposite, because what you're doing is you are pitting neighbor against neighbor and competing for covering basic safety things like fire, EMS, and health. I mean, that's absolutely insane.
I don't know what you're talking about, but if you want to hang on, Tom, we'll continue the discussion here. The current system pits neighbor against neighbor. That's what the democratic system does. There are different interest groups who fight with one another over control of that system, and whoever the winner is then gets to force their system down the throats of everybody else, and if you don't want to go along with it, then they'll put you in a cage if you decide you don't want to play along. It's Free Talk Live.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
CopBlock has quickly become the top police accountability group in the United States, and maybe even the world. With chapters across the globe, there's probably a group near you that you can join. If not, you can start your own. Besides joining a local CopBlock group, you can also give just $1 a month to the CopBlock network. Your contribution helps support the efforts of those who make CopBlock possible. So please join the CopBlock network now at copblock.lrn.fm. That's copblock.lrn.fm.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, December 5th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,086 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $374. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, heavy airstrikes and artillery shellings in the area around eastern Ghouta and Douma, rebel-held areas on the outskirts of Damascus, left at least 56 civilians dead, including a number of children. The observatory reported the strikes were carried out by the Syrian military, though the local rebel faction accused the Russian military of being behind the attacks, saying they deliberately targeted civilians in the attacks. The eastern Ghouta region has been rebel-held for years and is regularly targeted by deadly airstrikes. Though surrounded by the Syrian military for a long time, they've never made any serious effort to move into the area and retake it. The rebels in eastern Ghouta have been implicated in using human shields in the past to increase the civilian death toll of airstrikes, famously keeping Shiites in cages and rolling them around to potential targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a picture of strength painted by Friday's U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics job report essentially guarantees an interest rate increase this month. The monthly report said the economy added 211,000 private sector jobs in November, and September and October increases were revised upward. The unemployment rate held at 5%. New jobs were concentrated in construction, professional and technical services, and healthcare. Jason Furman, chairman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, said in a statement, "We have added more jobs over the past 3 years than in any 3-year period since 2000, and wages are continuing to rise." A strong showing by the labor market was the last requirement for a planned interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve, the first in nearly a decade. In a speech Wednesday to the Economic Club of Washington, Yellen said, "It is a day that I expect we are all looking forward to. Ongoing gains in the labor market, coupled with my judgment that longer-term inflation expectations remain reasonably well anchored, serve to bolster my confidence in a return to inflation to 2% as the disinflationary effects of declines in energy and import prices wane." She said raising interest rates would indicate how far our economy has come in recovering from the effects of the financial crisis and the Great Recession. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Texas on Friday withdrew its request for a temporary restraining order to prevent the imminent resettlement of 21 Syrian refugees into the state, saying the U.S. government had provided it with the information it sought on the group. The move came just hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed papers in a federal court in Dallas, saying the state did not have the authority to act on national immigration policy and could not bar the refugees from resettling. The relief agency that plans to resettle the Syrians in the coming days filed a separate motion at the U.S. District Court in Dallas, contending that Texas could not discriminate against refugees on the basis of nationality because that violates U.S. civil rights laws. The International Rescue Committee said in its filing, Texas is not discriminating against all refugees, only Syrian refugees. The result of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar the local resettlement of Syrian refugees. The International Rescue Committee plans to relocate a family of Syrians to Dallas on December 7th, and another family of 6 Syrians to Houston on the same day, and a family of 8 Syrians in Houston on December 10th, along with a 26-year-old woman whose mother resides in the area. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A civilian casualty is flattered to have been mistaken for a Hamas leader, and an asexually reproduced sea sponge is worried she's turning into herself. This news summary is best enjoyed in a state of leisurely repose, so sit back, relax, and let the waves of condensed news gently lap at your brain. This is the Onion Week in Review. Hoping to foster a lifelong connection to the airline, Delta announced the launch of its official alumni magazine, Flown, this week, a quarterly publication for people who have been passengers with the airline at some point in the past. A press release from Delta confirmed that the magazine will feature obituaries, wedding announcements, and profiles of prominent flyers that celebrate the shared experiences and interests of the airline's 900 million alumni.
I think it's a nice thing for Delta to do. I mean, it's always interesting to just skim through an issue, see what the old boarding group's up to. It kind of makes me nostalgic for the few hours back when I was on that flight to Tampa. Simpler days.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We are launching into the third hour. Of course, if you want to join us here, and whether it's talking about the Islamic State coming out and claiming some responsibility for the married couple that killed 14 people in a mass shooting in California this week in San Bernardino, or fire departments, which is what we're kind of on right now. Mark, you're a volunteer fireman, and I'm Ian. I'm not a volunteer fireman. But what I was discussing last hour, what we were discussing was the idea of marketizing fire departments, getting the free market to handle fire protection instead of the government, which is, of course, the way that we're used to it in our lives. We had a guy call in from Madison who said that's a crazy idea. He dropped off the line, by the way. I'd invited him to stay, but he went. He said it's a crazy idea. It would pit people against one another.
Yeah, I don't. So
in competition, he says.
I see that there's some. I was saying earlier that I see there's some confusion in turning fire departments from the government-run agencies that they are today into free market institutions, and that it would be a bumpy road. And this is one of the problems with getting the government involved in things: is getting people off of the public teat is always very difficult. However,
especially the people that work for the government,
things are pretty clear in the area of firefighting that, well, look, most of the ambulance service in this country prior to the 80s was done by private ambulance companies and still is in many places today. Geographically, it may be that more places are served by private ambulance companies than are served by public ambulance companies.
Interesting. I know there's one here in Keene, but there's also a public one.
Right. There's a public one in this city, but
right.
That's because here's the reason. I think it's because people wanted private insurance companies wanted private, full-time professional fire departments so that response times would be minimized. Those full-time fire departments, especially in places in, say, the South, didn't have as much to do when they're just responding to fires. So people wanted them to do things. And one of the things that, well, why don't you make medical calls too? We'll buy you an ambulance. And then that sort of privatizes the ambulance service. Rather than saying, you know what, well, we'll just give you some trucks and let you guys handle firefighting on your own. Well, there's no particular reason why trucks are the right way to fight fires today. What people need to understand is fire departments are not there to prevent your house from burning down. Yes, your professional firefighters likely will be able to save the shell of your house. They'll probably have response times as low as 5 or 6 minutes. They'll get there. In many cases, they can save most of the house, and you're going to have some cleanup and call ServPro and all that other stuff that you have to do, but they can probably save the house. But that's not their job. Their job is to save your neighbor's house. Houses used to be a lot closer together in dense cities, and when a fire started, whole blocks would go up. That was the purpose of fire departments, was to stop the fire from burning the next person's house. Because ultimately, if you're irresponsible enough to set your house on fire, it's nobody's fault but your own.
Mm-hmm.
You should have had fire extinguishers. You should have had fire alarms. You should have had a variety of things to stop this from happening. Plus, don't burn candles. Stop burning candles in your house. Why would you bring fire into your house? It's romantic. Get some flickering light or something.
They smell nice.
Stop. Get an air freshener. Regardless, the responsibility for your house burning is your responsibility. If you've got kids that like to play with matches, then teach them not to. figure something out. I don't know what to tell you. Your house is your responsibility. It's not the community's responsibility. It's not the fire department's responsibility. The fire department's real job is to prevent your house from sitting on a field that then goes and burns the next person's house. That is why they are the public good, as they are called. And why can ambulance services, which ran privately for a very long time and were probably only made public because firefighters didn't have that much to do back in the day, because there are only so many fires that occur. Up here where they heat with wood in houses, old wooden houses, it's a completely different story with balloon construction, for God's sake. Fire departments could absolutely operate in a free market. This isn't something that has to be a public good. It's just something that is a public good.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. We'll talk to Doug, listening in Philly. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Mark has a bad attitude.
Generally.
Yeah, I guess so. I was a volunteer firefighter for about 10 years, and then I did wildland firefighting for another 5, so I know something about that.
Was it a private company?
What's that?
Was it a private company?
No, it was a municipal volunteer fire company.
No, the wildfire fighting.
Oh, no, it wasn't. I did it for the Forest Service,
and
I'll get into that. That was some of the most ridiculous stuff that you can imagine, doing stuff for the federal government. But as far as the municipal fire department, first of all, we used to have a chicken barbecue with raffles and stuff every year.
We did too. It gets us $2,500.
Yeah.
That's enough to buy one air tank.
Exactly. Well, I'm getting to the real stuff.
Okay.
So one way to do it, of course, would be through the insurance companies. So you have your property insurance, and then they pay the money to the fire company, or they make you subscribe to the fire company. Another model,
or the fire department charges the insurance company when they come and take care of a fire. They can also bill too.
Yeah, or they can bill even though they don't. They can bill a certain amount just to be available in order to respond to a fire.
Yeah.
And then another model, it would be the homeowners association model, because with I think most people are familiar with a condominium complex or a subdivision with a homeowners association, and the way that works is when somebody buys a unit from a developer, they only buy some of the rights. So in other words, there's real estate and then there's real property. And real property can be divided up any way you want. So when somebody buys their unit, they're buying it subject to paying the homeowners association, and then they get to participate and vote.
And that comes with a rider about fire protection, and you got to buy it, or it comes with the fees that you pay to the homeowners association.
Yeah, you could put that in, and that model can be expanded to the whole municipality. I think the first one that I'm familiar with that did it this way was Columbia, Maryland, and that's a whole town with retail, office, and residential properties.
Isn't that really just a different municipal model than what we have today, though? I mean, if you're expanding it to the municipal level, you're basically saying everybody has to pay for the fire department. I mean...
Well, yeah, but prior to that, he was talking about some things that could be done without the government, right? So that was a discussion we were having earlier, was what's the best way to get from here, which is where we have government-controlled fire departments, to a market-based fire system. And using the insurance companies and homeowners associations as the payers would certainly be a lot more simple for billing. Because that was your objection, Mark, was that, billing each individual household would be very complicated and expensive for whoever it would be that would be running the department. But if you're using the sort of middlemen, if you will, that might simplify matters. I thought that was good suggestions. Doug, anything else you want to throw out there? Go ahead.
Well, I'll just talk about the wildland firefighting for the Forest Service. They put us out in the middle of a fire, and then Fish and Wildlife decided, this was in a national park, Fish and Wildlife decided that we shouldn't be fighting the fire, so we're standing there in the middle of the fire and we're not allowed to fight it. And that's what happens when the federal government's in charge.
Centralized control. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate hearing
Lucky
from you
they
tonight.
survived it.
Yeah. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
Mostly what I was doing there when I was rebutting the things that you said is pointing out that you need to be ready. If you're going to advocate something be cut from the municipal level, you need to be ready to defend that. And
Not really.
Yeah.
No, I can just advocate for it and then let the market figure it out. I don't need to know how everything's going to work. I mean, it only took us, 20 minutes for somebody to call in and actually give some really great ideas. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I don't need to know how every single thing in the marketplace is going to work to know that it's going to work better than whatever the government has. Because the government sucks at everything that it does for the most part. If it does something, it's only doing it because they have a monopoly on it. It gets done if they throw enough money at it, but the market could do it better, more efficiently. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local gas station. Use the coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you will always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from GiantVapes.com. Giant, VAPES.com with coupon code FTL10.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us toll free here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Everything from the Islamic State to private fire departments. It's Ian and Mark in the studio with you here tonight. If you are online and you aren't protecting yourself with ProXPN, then you should learn more about ProXPN. They encrypt your internet connection. Go to proxpn.com. And you can get started with code FTL50. That's FTL like Free Talk Live 50, as in 50% off, for 50% off their regular monthly price when you get their annual account. It is proxpn.com. Whether you've got a Windows device, Mac, iOS, Android, or Linux, whatever it is that you use, ProXPN can get you connected with them to mean that your internet service provider won't know what you're doing online anymore when you start using ProXPN. proxpn.com. And it is recommended that ProXPN be used in concert with an alternative DNS like OpenDNS or Google DNS. ProXPN.com. Go get started there with code FTL50 as we continue with your calls and thoughts. Faisal is listening in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Faisal.
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me.
Sure. You're on the air. What's on your mind tonight?
You know, I'm helping coordinate a campaign to collect funds for the victims of San Bernardino shooting that occurred recently. And this is a campaign that's on behalf of the American Muslim community. It's a funding campaign that's showing remarkable success. And just really happy and glad that we are standing by in full solidarity with the families in our town and neighborhood. They're so severely affected by this tragedy, and just want to let everybody know that we are here for them and for all of our communities.
What are you going to do with the money?
Well, the money goes to the families. There's a process set up, likely through United Way, that gets distributed to the families that are directly affected by the tragedy, and there's like close to 40 of them. Some that are deceased. The families of the deceased, and some that are injured, and they'll have long-term, they may face long-term disabilities and long-term problems.
What do you think? I mean, oftentimes we'll hear, where are the Muslims that are denouncing this activity? And I would say
they're all over the place.
Yeah, they're all over the place. But I would say that this is this is stronger than a denouncement. This is somebody raising money for the families of the people that are harmed.
Going above and beyond, for sure.
What do you think about that? I mean, it's got to be, in one hand, you got to sort of understand where people are coming from. On the other hand, it's got to be kind of like, hey, I didn't shoot anybody.
I think, first, I think it's a very important, it's probably the most important question on everybody's mind. So thank you for articulating it. I think the issue is, for us in the Southern California community, you have this devastating event right in your own backyard. And so many of the Muslim families were receiving services right at this Inland Regional Center. And they're so distraught and emotionally affected by this because their kids go there. And this place provides services for especially needy kids. So people are emotionally connected to this. Muslims are emotionally connected to this. This is the home turf. This is our backyard. So I think we feel not only responsible, but we feel like we're equally sharing in the grief and what the victims and their families are going through. So I think this is an obligation for us, and it's important for us. And that's what we are hearing as a campaign is collecting funds. You'll see that emotional connection to the problem itself. On the other hand, the Muslim community is just in absolute shock. I mean, we've heard of these things happen and all sorts of, mass shootings all across the country, most recently in Colorado. And, this is such, this is so common. I've been told there have been 355 mass shootings in the country alone this year. And there's only 365 days in a year. So, you hear about these things so often, but when it happens in your own backyard, it becomes a completely different equation. Muslims are clearly shocked. They're not able to make sense of what's transpired here. But I think we're also very realistic. If there's been any ideological force that these perpetrators relied on and felt that Islam affected them, inspired them, then the Muslim community is the first and foremost to stand against that kind of extremism.
Thanks for that tonight, Faisal. I appreciate it. Is this the same campaign that we had actually Will Coley call from Muslims for Liberty earlier? He mentioned one that had raised several $1,000s on a site called Launchgood. Is this the same one you're talking about?
Exactly the same one. Launchgood is a crowdsourcing website that's been
How would one who wanted to contribute to the campaign find it? If you go to launchgood.com, is it like a / something or other, or what?
Yes, it's launchgood.com/SP for San Bernardino. And we have so far collected $25,000 with a goal of 50.
Excellent. Good luck. Thanks, Faisal, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Let's continue. We've got Harold in Alabama. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Harold.
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Welcome. We're doing a radio show. Go ahead with your thoughts.
I think the people in San Bernardino didn't understand their diversity training because obviously they're the two people that crashed the party didn't like the Christmas party. So I think the people should have not had a Christmas party. They should have been more tolerant.
I suspect
think they had a holiday party, and I think that those people were there at the event. They didn't crash it.
The male was apparently there, and then he left and then brought back his girlfriend or wife. And
I'm sure she would have been
maybe
invited.
they were offending those people because of the Christmas party. And
they're clearly offended by something.
Most companies have diversity training and.
Yeah, this isn't a company. It was the government, actually. It's a government worker. He was a health inspector, and he went and he slaughtered his coworkers. So I suspect
that's even worse. The government has more diversity training than regular companies nowadays.
So you think it has something to do with diversity? Well, maybe it has to do with being a government employee.
I think they were offended somehow, and they didn't.
How many people respond to being offended with violence?
Well, there's a few, we've had a lot since,
Yeah. You really believe what you're saying, Harold?
Could you come out and say what you want to say, Harold? Who do you want to kill? Who do you want to put in a camp? Who do you want to keep out of the country?
No.
Who? I'm asking you a question.
I think it's just he's trouncing diversity training or something like that. Is that what you're doing?
Man, I'm trying to say that when you're going to have a Christmas party, you need to be more mindful.
Or else someone might slaughter you. Thanks for the call, Harold. Ridiculous. I mean, I understand that some people are offended.
I'm sure if this was a government thing, it was a holiday party, right? And
it was some sort of banquet, actually. It was the way it was described in one news piece.
I don't think the name of the party particularly matters. If you want to have a Christmas party, have a Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a holiday party, have a holiday party. If you want to have a friggin' Ramadan party, have a Ramadan party. I don't know. Make crap up like they did for Kwanzaa. Just make up something and call it a religion. I don't care. But don't kill anybody over it. If you think about killing people because you think your religion's better than theirs, your religion stinks.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can join us here, 855-450-3733.
More likely you don't even understand your religion.
Yeah, that's probably true. Let's continue, though. You can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Ammo is getting scarce in this country, so it just makes sense to reload your casings. Now with RussianReloads.com. That's right, reload previously unreloadable Berdan primer cartridges by switching them over to an easy-to-do conversion to accept boxer primers with RussianReloads.com. High quality and made in the USA. RussianReloads.com. Recycle that casing.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
Free Talk Live.
Most people, when it comes to what the government demands about their property, the zoning board or whatever department we're dealing with here that claims to have dominion over what you believe to be your property, most people just go along to get along because they understand that something nasty will happen if they don't. They understand that if they don't do what the people calling themselves government demand that they do, that eventually men with guns are going to come to their house, possibly just take it from them. And I think everybody inherently knows that there's a threat of violence behind what the government does. Oh, I know. You like to tell yourself stories about how it's the price of civilization to pay taxes. The price of civilization is zoning. It's the price of civilization to obey orders.
Well, don't forget the pig farm excuse.
Oh, sure, yeah.
If you didn't have zoning, somebody would open a pig farm right next door to you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org. Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa, hey, who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Holy crap.
Whoa. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me.
What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. It is the live Saturday edition, and you can join us right here. Toll-free number for you, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And we are going to be broadcasting live from the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. It's coming up in about 2.5 months. The Liberty Forum happening in Manchester, New Hampshire at the Radisson Hotel. It's the biggest hotel for events like this in the state, and it'll be filled with liberty-loving people. Hundreds of people who care about freedom are going to be in attendance, likely, if past years are any indication, and this year I'm sure will be as busy because Edward Snowden is going to be one of the keynote speakers. Now, I don't believe all of the keynote speakers have yet been announced, but this is a pretty big one, and I don't know how they're going to top it. Edward Snowden, the Edward Snowden, will not be there in person because, well, he'll get arrested by federal thugs if he comes to the United States, and sadly, New Hampshire has not yet seceded, so we can't offer him any protection from that. But it'll still be great to have him there in sort of digital fashion from Moscow, where I imagine he'll be staying up fairly late to give his keynote speech. It'll probably be, what time do you think it is in Moscow compared to Eastern time?
Close to 12 hours.
12 hours. Yeah. So he'll be getting up bright and early then in that case to give his speech, because normally these keynote speeches are like 7 o'clock at night. Anyway, don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun and all kinds of great liberty-oriented panel discussions, and I've been invited to be on some panel already, and so there's going to be all kinds of things to talk about and people to meet, and vendors to visit, but it's really more about the community. It's about experiencing what it's like to be around people who actually care about liberty, people who love freedom enough to have picked up their lives, as you and I have done, Mark, and have made the move here to New Hampshire. There's going to be probably, of the hundreds of people at the Liberty Forum, I'd say probably 200 of them are from New Hampshire, people who've moved here as part of the Free State Project or are New Hampshire natives. And then the other several hundred, 300 to 500 or so, it's usually like 500 to 800 people that attend. Those are people who are visiting from outside of the state, people who want to really see if this is for real. They might have heard Free Talk Live talking about it. They might have seen a Dave Ridley report about what's going on in New Hampshire, and it just sounds too good to be true. Could it really be that there are 1,500 people who have picked up their lives so far and have moved for this project? Could it be that those people have actually, created this groundswell of this movement, these various different activities, these groups, different activist projects, that all this stuff that we've talked about for a decade here on Free Talk Live, is it really true? Well, come on up and see for yourself. Go to nhlibertyforum.com, and you got to be hardcore to do this one. It's in the middle of the wintertime, February 18th through the 21st. Luckily, the hotel has heat. nhlibertyforum.com. You will hopefully be there, and we will see you there because we'll be broadcasting live every single night. We've got Brian. He's in Delaware. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hello, Brian.
Hey, how you doing, fellas? I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome.
My point was, I was just hearing what you guys were saying, and I kind of disagree as far as you saying that you don't resort to violence if someone offends you. I'm paraphrasing on that.
No, you really shouldn't do that. You disagree with that?
Sometimes you could punch a cat in the nose, you know what I mean? But to resort to actual coming in with AR-15s and guns, that's just a little ridiculous. And,
I don't think it's okay to punch anyone in the nose if they offend you.
I think fighting words exist. This is something that Ian and I have gone round and round about. And I think that you can say some things at some point in life that are going to, whether they should or not, going to result in somebody bopping you in the nose. And
right.
That's just kind of society.
You can say whatever you want about my mother. I'm not going to hit you for it.
Yeah, but see, that's your perspective, and that might not bother you. But I'm pretty sure there is a trigger somewhere in there, and maybe you just haven't lived
I've tried.
enough to.
I've tried to trigger him.
Hitting that.
We've been working together for 12 years. I have tried to trigger him, and I don't think there is. I think he's just weird.
You've tried to get me to take a swing at you?
Well, maybe,
I would love to.
Well, maybe he's the chosen one then. I mean, that's a possibility too. But it's still.
He has fallen short of the glory of God. I can assure you.
And debate about it's all metaphysical. It's all a matter of perspective. Just because your normalcy bias is different than somebody else's, I mean.
Well, if you want to get metaphysical, then you could argue that the person who is offending you is actually you, and then in point of fact, you're actually hitting yourself in that case. But that's the metaphysical.
I mean, that may be the case. But then another thing I wanted to comment on before I close out this evening is I just want your opinion on this, and maybe you could help me put things into perspective.
We'll try. But we're just talk show
everyone's
hosts.
going through this whole, radical Islam, and, Islam is violent, this, that, the third. Not necessarily you guys, but I hear it a lot in the mainstream media. But what about, like Waco, Texas, and, compounds, and those cats having thousands of rounds and brainwashing their people to fight the FBI, and then you got the other cats that made the whole compound eat poisons and all that. But there was no
Jim Jones down in
Christianity is bad.
Are you talking about Jim Jones?
Just give me your opinion on that.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for your call. He's talking about cults and things like that. Hey, thank you. I appreciate the call.
Well, I think I'm wondering whether he's talking about Christian cults or whether he's talking about cults generally.
Koresh did claim to be
Koresh did, but I don't know whether Jim Jones did down in South America.
But he did talk about Koresh.
He did. Well, first off, I'd say the violent people in the Koresh incident were the FBI. There's all kinds of evidence of that. The Koresh people didn't particularly do anything violent. There's some arguments that he had sex with underage girls, but they could have picked him up on his daily jog and avoided the whole standoff and everybody being killed and all the stuff they did.
Yeah, that was all over him not going to court, right?
That was a government display of force, and so I'm not as worried about that as other things. I mean, do I think that people's religion, Christian, Islam, Buddhist even. I've seen Buddhist monks being violent against people, Islamic people, and I can't remember where it was. Miramar, maybe? I don't know. Wherever it was. I mean, yeah, people's religions will drive them to do violent things. If they believe strongly enough in that, then, that's an issue. Now, is it just religion? A lot of people would tell you it is just religion. But I'd call myself religious, or at least people like to use the term spiritual these days. Fine. I
don't think there's anything wrong with using the term religious.
I'm religious, and
if you have a belief about the creation of the universe, it has to do with some sort of supreme, concept or being, then it's usually a religion.
Yeah, I think that the problem with religion comes in when you're willing to fight and kill over it. That's the problem with religion. Because then people have to defend themselves. They feel subjugated. Then they're going to fight. Many of the stuff that much of the violence that's going on doesn't have as with the Middle East and that sort of thing. Doesn't have as much to do with Islam as it does with just people who are like, hey, Western countries, why don't you leave us alone so we can figure out this self-governance thing on our own?
Mm-hmm.
We left you alone, generally, for that self-governance thing.
You don't hear about Muslims bombing Costa Rica, for instance.
They have no military, right?
Right, and therefore have not sent anybody to the Middle East to destroy anything.
Switzerland doesn't generally get bothered?
Exactly. So if you want to join us here, toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And he did mention that a lot of people are talking about Islam. And there's an interesting video that unfortunately we really can't play on the air. I think it's in Swedish. So there's subtitles to this video, and it was posted on our Facebook page earlier today. So if you go to facebook.freetalklive.com, scroll down just a little bit, you'll find a link to it there. It's a great video. It's kind of one of these man-on-the-street presentations. Mm-hmm. And did you watch it, Mark? Did you watch this video?
No, I've seen the video, and you explained it to me.
You have seen the video? You've not seen it.
I've seen that the video exists.
You've seen that it exists. Okay, got it. So I think it's worth a watch. I mean, although I'll give you a summary of what it is, and you kind of get it. Anyway, they took a Bible and they took the dust cover off of a Quran. They then put the dust cover onto the Bible. Kids, the dust cover is something that goes on a hardcover book that makes it easier to dust, I think.
A book is a collection of pieces of paper that have printing on them that you can read like a Kindle or an iPad.
So this is an old trick for people who understand books. Anyway, they put the dust cover on that said the Quran on the Bible, and then they proceeded to read biblical passages to people on the streets, representing them as though they were from the Quran, and got their reactions. Of course, there's a lot of crazy stuff in the Bible, so people were naturally shocked at what the Quran said, but then they revealed that, in point of fact, it was the Bible, and so it was very interesting. It's Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door, but police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes, and intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use door armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, Door Armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your door armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half-off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to invasionstopper.com now. That's invasionstopper.com.
This is a national health care alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. So if you're on Medicare and have knee pain, don't wait. You may qualify to immediately receive a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost. Friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have other pain-relieving braces too for your shoulder, ankle, or back. You may be eligible to get these items and more at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Our friendly representatives are standing by now to help you, so please call now. 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963, 800-301-2963.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Hey, it is Free Talk Live, and of course, you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Maybe enough time for you if you dial in right now. Also, Skype users, you can Skype into the show at username lrn.fm. Tonight, it's Ian here with you.
And Mark.
We invite you to our website at freetalklive.com. The features are free, the archives are free, the chat room, the webcam, all of that stuff. We give it away. You can go and get interactive there for free. freetalklive.com. If you would like to support the show, you like what we're doing, talking about the ideas of liberty on a nightly basis. 7 nights a week the show is live. If we're not on every night on your local radio station, you can call them and ask real nicely to talk to the program director and tell them you want to hear more Free Talk Live. But we're there 7 nights a week, whether we're on your local station or not. Of course, you can always grab them over at freetalklive.com. Grab the archives up there, subscribe to the podcast. But if you want to support the show directly, then thankfully the internet allows that to be done fairly easily. You go to amp.freetalklive.com. You can use PayPal, so any major credit card via PayPal. You can use Visa or MasterCard right through our website. And now, Bitcoin. You can finally amp the show with Bitcoin. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And the idea is you send in $5 a month to Free Talk Live, or $5 a month worth of Bitcoin. And Free Talk Live will invest that into our program and get on more radio stations, bring more internet listeners on board, and expose new people to the ideas of freedom. So head on over to amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com as we go to your phone calls and thoughts. Let's go first to Dave in California. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
Wow. Well, I'm a big fan of Ed Snowden, but I can't begin to tell you how disappointed I am with Free Talk Live tonight.
Why is that?
I called in very early in your show and discussed honestly with your producer my view. He said I had one call ahead of me. Now, 20-some calls later, I get the opinion you don't particularly care to freely discuss certain views. And mine is
no, that's not true. We have certain rules about calls here, Dave, and one of them is that people who we know get put to the back of the line, especially on a night like tonight when we've got new people calling in. So we want to make room for different voices. We appreciate your call, but we've heard from you a lot, so I knew that it was you, and so I made you wait.
Well, again, you want to cut me short because you don't get to discuss the government.
You haven't been
in
cut
the right-
short. You've continued to go on here and complain. Now, what did you want to talk about?
If government is in the hands of honest, well-motivated people, it can indeed act to the betterment of the people, all kinds of government. If you get government, as we have now, in the hands of greedy corporate special interests that are only interested in pocketing money, then you may not likely benefit from such a government. But we need to discuss that openly. It's not just a matter that government is the problem. Government run by corrupt special interests, very much the problem. And that's what we got now.
When are you ever not going to have that?
I do believe that if we have honest elections, and Ed Snowden will talk about how much easy it is to rig these electronic voting machines, to flip a few million votes here and there, to get in whoever they want. So we end up with a Bush and a Cheney and whatnot in our government. And what do we have for a Congress? Do we have people interested in representing us, the people, or do we have in our Congress those people only interested in stuffing their pockets by misrepresenting the people? That's the reality we're facing.
I understand what the reality is.
That's the reality, and I concur with you 100% on that. And we do have, the voting machines have been shown to be hackable. They haven't been shown to have been hacked. But then again, we knew the NSA was spying before we could prove that they were. So it's one of those conundrums, Dave. It's a really difficult question: is how do you create a center of power and money known as the government, and not have the most successful sociopaths populate it? It's a very difficult question.
We deal directly with this problem. That is to say, if we've got riggable electronic voting, and we've been turning our heads and looking the other way and allowing it to happen time and time again, we damn well better wake up.
But wait a minute, aren't you asking those same corrupt politicians that you were just lamenting to fix the problem for you?
No, I'm asking a program such as Free Talk Live to get this aired at every turn, that people need to be aware of what they're voting on and to do something about it.
But what are they going to do about it?
I don't know. I think there was a time when we could dress up as Native Americans and go throw the T in the sea. That's what we got to do.
Thanks, Dave, for your call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Yeah, I mean, we've got very strict call rules here in that anyone can call in about anything. We don't generally screen very hard. Like, we don't really care what your name is and where you're really calling from. You can make all that stuff up. You don't really have to get into detail about what you're calling about. But I want to hear from new people,
I hear that. I also think that Dave's a good caller, so it kind of leaves me in the horns.
He is, which is why I took him before I'm going to take Scott in Charleston, because Dave had been holding on for a while in Charleston. Scott is new. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
Yes,
Unfortunately, I'm going to pick a bone on a couple of points.
We love bone picking.
Okay. Just don't take it too personally. I got in the car and turned on the radio. You were talking with Harold, I think it was.
I have no idea.
A few minutes ago.
Go right ahead.
Ian, I think you said the line that caught me was, how often does it end in violence? And the answer is not very often.
You're referring to how often does what end in violence? The question was, how often does someone who's been offended end in violence? Because the caller was suggesting that someone was offended, the shooters were offended by the holiday party or the Christmas party, and that's why they shot it up. And so, yes, that was what I said. Go ahead.
Thank you for filling that in. Yes, exactly. And the answer is, obviously not very often, but it often ends in aggression and passive aggression, which I think is very real aggression.
I disagree.
So, okay, fair enough.
Passive aggression is not aggression. I think it's a silly term. But anyway, what was the point you're driving at? Go ahead.
Well, I think there are a couple steps there, and I think passive aggression escalates things, especially on the road.
It'll escalate things. I'll give you that.
The other issue was, oh my goodness, brain fart.
Uh-oh, got to take notes. I'll give you one chance. Go ahead if you got it, Scott. Now's the time.
You're never going to get it when you do that to somebody, for God's sake.
Here's what I want you to do.
It's like playing that music on Jeopardy.
Yeah, I should get that. I should get that music.
That stuff is,
that would have been perfect.
How can anybody think when that noise is going on?
I'm overwhelmed with your celebrity.
Oh, please. We're just talk show hosts.
Call back tomorrow.
Yeah, here's what you should do, Scott.
All right,
Mark your calendar
gentlemen.
for tomorrow at 7 o'clock at night Eastern Time. That's when we start our live Sunday show, and you can kick it off with us, and we'll take your call right out of the gate. Appreciate your call tonight. Let's go to Ralph in New Jersey. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Ralph.
This man, Obama, as you very well know, is in Wonderland, in Fantasyland when it comes to dealing with, existential threat that is swirling around us. And I am of the opinion that he is a sworn enemy of this country, number one. And number two, he is one with black animals, black radicals,
Ridiculous.
the Islamic Nazi, the Islamic
He's a sworn enemy. Well, now, what does that mean when you say he's a sworn enemy?
That's a sworn enemy in that, he is more, allowing people, who wants to do us harm, access,
He's allowing
access
it.
and
You're right about that. He is actually allowing the police all around the country to do harm to innocent people.
There you go.
Just like his predecessor, George W. Bush. Isn't he just like George W. Bush, Ralph?
It didn't take long for you to do a plea bargain as far as being white guilty is concerned. It really didn't take long, And I beg your pardon. I'm still, waiting for I beg your pardon. And,
I don't know what you're saying right now. I have no idea.
If I was making a plea bargain,
let's talk about Black Lives Matter, because I like to believe they could easily be co-opted by the Islamic extremists or the Islamic radical. I firmly believe that.
That sounds like fear mongering. Do you have any anything besides speculation to lay down here?
Well, I want to ask this question.
All right.
To the both of you.
Make it fast.
When does Black Lives Matter to both of you?
All lives matter. Thank you for the call tonight, Ralph. Humans are people, and they're individuals, and they should be judged individually based not on their skin color, but their actions and their statements.
I think the Black Lives Matter meme was a real failure for the activists that want to bring attention to police violence against minority communities.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think it could have been all lives matter. Yes, all lives do matter. You just adopt that and take it and make it as your own.
Back tomorrow night, freetalklive.com in the meantime.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. It's Friday and metals are rocking. Gold is up $19 at $1,074 per ounce. Silver is 21 cents higher at $14.38 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $360. We still have plenty of 2015 U.S. Mint Silver and Gold Eagle coins available. Get yours today. Give Robertson Roberts a call at 800-874-9760 or shop online at rrbi.co.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
The live edition of Off the Air Live is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, December 5th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.56 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,086 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $374. Antiwar.com reports, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, heavy airstrikes and artillery shellings in the area around eastern Ghouta and Douma, rebel-held areas on the outskirts of Damascus, left at least 56 civilians dead, including a number of children. The observatory reported the strikes were carried out by the Syrian military, though the local rebel faction accused the Russian military of being behind the attacks, saying they deliberately targeted civilians in the attacks. The eastern Ghouta region has been rebel held for years and is regularly targeted by deadly airstrikes. Though surrounded by the Syrian military for a long time, they've never made any serious effort to move into the area and retake it. The rebels in eastern Ghouta have been implicated in using human shields in the past to increase the civilian death toll of airstrikes, famously keeping Shiites in cages and rolling them around to potential targets. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports a picture of strength painted by Friday's U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics job report essentially guarantees an interest rate increase this month. The monthly report said the economy added 211,000 private sector jobs in November, and September and October increases were revised upward. The unemployment rate held at 5%. New jobs were concentrated in construction, professional and technical services, and healthcare. Jason Furman, chairman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, said in a statement, "We have added more jobs over the past 3 years than in any 3-year period since 2000, and wages are continuing to rise." A strong showing by the labor market was the last requirement for a planned interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve, the first in nearly a decade. In a speech Wednesday to the Economic Club of Washington, Yellen said, "It is a day that I expect we are all looking forward to. Ongoing gains in the labor market, coupled with my judgment that longer-term inflation expectations remain reasonably well anchored, serve to bolster my confidence in a return to inflation to 2% as the disinflationary effects of declines in energy and import prices wane." She said raising interest rates would indicate how far our economy has come in recovering from the effects of the financial crisis and the Great Recession. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Texas on Friday withdrew its request for a temporary restraining order to prevent the imminent resettlement of 21 Syrian refugees into the state, saying the U.S. government had provided it with the information it sought on the group. The move came just hours after the U.S. Justice Department filed papers in a federal court in Dallas, saying the state did not have the authority to act on national immigration policy and could not bar the refugees from resettling. The relief agency that plans to resettle the Syrians in the coming days filed a separate motion at the U.S. District Court in Dallas, contending that Texas could not discriminate against refugees on the basis of nationality because that violates U.S. civil rights laws. The International Rescue Committee said in its filing, Texas is not discriminating against all refugees, only Syrian refugees. The result of this case could determine whether the governors of more than 30 states will be able to go through with plans to bar the local resettlement of Syrian refugees. The International Rescue Committee committee plans to relocate a family of Syrians to Dallas on December 7th, and another family of 6 Syrians to Houston on the same day, and a family of 8 Syrians in Houston on December 10th, along with a 26-year-old woman whose mother resides in the area. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Teen sex is linked to alcohol and drugs by the Center for Figuring Out Really Obvious Things. This is Doyle Redland reporting. An exhaustive 4-year, $23 million study of substance abuse and sexual habits of more than 2,500 American teens has confirmed that young people between the ages of 13 and 18 who drink and or use drugs are more likely to be sexually active. Dr. Gerald Eckersley is director of the Boston-based organization.
We found that this phenomenon also occurs among adults as well as every population everywhere in the world that has ever existed since the dawn of time.
The center has sent a teleprompter-ready press release of its findings to more than 400 local TV news affiliates across the U.S., along with stock video footage of beer displays and teens smoking and drinking at parties. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's time for Off the Air Live. And here's your host, Cody O'Connor.
Hey everybody, it is Off the Air Live, hanging out on a Saturday night. That's right, it's the Saturday edition of the show. And I'm a little bit high and I'm a little bit drunk tonight, but give me credit, it's been a long fucking week. And this is going to be the state of mind that I'm in for the rest of the evening. Phone lines are open at 774-314-7067. Or you can Skype in at Off the Air Live if you want to. So there was another shooting. Everybody loves a good shooting. Is that true? It seems like they want to hate it, but they kind of hate to love it, or they love to hate it. That's why these things keep happening, right? Because everybody eats it up. They have such a good time whenever there are people being killed somewhere. San Bernardino. Let's talk about San Bernardino. Is it San Bernardino or San Bernardino? It's weird, like, you kind of learn geography and you learn the name of places you'd never visit just by terrible things happening in the place. Like, I didn't know that San Bernardino, California was just 30 minutes away from Los Angeles, California.